videotaping, please, guys, in a minute. Like I said, if you want to follow along with me, you can. Those of you at home, I'm going to do this fairly quick so you know what you're doing. The first thing I want to do is I want to go to the agenda. So I'm going to present mine, and those of you that are here can go to the agenda. The rest of you can just watch on the screen. So if you remember last week, what I told you is I'm going to start having an agenda, and it's going to look like this. So as it says in the agenda that it is subject to change, so please check it daily to make sure it hasn't changed. So as you can see today, Group A, which you're here, we're going to do hydrogen fuel cell PowerPoint. That's going to be assignment 35. We're going to do activity 1.31, which is our VEX solar hydrogen car. And then we're going to do our solar hydrogen automobile assembly guide and instruction. And our job today is to get it completely built and get it running today. And those of you that are home, it says the first thing you'll need to do is vocabulary list. So if you go here to Google Classroom, you have Money Question of the Day. At 35, so I'm going to open this up. This right here, let me go to 36 first. This right here is your vocabulary list of the week. So what you'll do is you'll open that up and copy that in your ISM book and attach it. So then the next thing that it says on here is to look at the hydrogen fuel cell PowerPoint and take notes. So if you look, you'll see a hydrogen fuel cell. You'll see this one and you'll see the VEX one. You're going to only open up the hydrogen fuel cell. Once you open that up, what it's going to do is it's going to take you to a PowerPoint. And in this PowerPoint, it's just basically going to talk about hydrogen fuel cars and cells and how they work. And if you'll go through here and take you some notes, I'm going to go ahead and tell you and the people here at school, the flow charts you can copy along with anything else you feel like that is important. And then after that, the only other thing you have to do is you need to go to activity 3.3. So if you go to your project Lead the Way and you go to your 1.3.3 thermodynamics, you did this last week. So what you're going to do is you're going to go down here and it says for you to answer, because we answered through 10, you're going to answer question 11 through 19. No, to 20. So if you would please answer those in the ISM book and attach that. And besides that, that's all that you're required to do. You can leave and do your vocabulary words, do your PowerPoint on your own. Also do your thermodynamic questions for today and submit them under the submission tabs. So if you don't have any questions, you may go. So those of you that are here, if you want to, you can open up the solar hydrogen solution system. First is where you need to be. And let's go through and scroll through that first. So make sure you get on Project Lead the Way. You'll go to 1.3.2. Excuse me, 1. And yours should look like mine. Does yours look like mine? 1.3.1. Okay. Open up your ISM book. And what we're doing now is we're doing hydrogen fuel cell notes. So you'll open up to your next sheet that you have blank. And let's look over and see what it's talking about. So what it says here, it talks about a third of the energy used by people are used in transportation, most of cars, trucks, planes, and mostly fueled by gasoline, diesel, and jet fuels, which we get from petroleum. To use another source of energy like wind, solar, nuclear energy, and energy must be stored so it's available for vehicles. Rechargeable batteries are very familiar technology for storing energy for later use. So what we're going to be doing today is we are going to be building a solar hydrogen automobile, okay? So the first thing we're going to do, if you scroll down, if you'll look at the hydrogen fuel cell PowerPoint, if you'll click that, it'll give you a download. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to present it and talk to you. And as you go through the PowerPoint, you can take notes. Now you have two options. You can look at it on your screen and take notes as I talk, or you can look on my screen. Doesn't matter. Is everybody good? Okay, so I'm on the first slide. And as I go through, I'll probably tell you if it's important notes or not. So the first one that we have here talks about the trends of use of fuel. So we have wood, coal, oil, natural gas, and hydrogen. Now, what do we use them in? We use them in cars. We use them at our house. We use them in other ways. Next slide. 19th century, they used a steam engine. The 20th century, they did internal combustion engine. And now, the 21st century, they're trying to start with a fuel cell. And that's what we're going to be actually building today. So here's a PowerPoint of the history of the fuel cell. So if you look, you have a battery that's detached here, right? And what happens is it goes down into the water. It goes up here, which is this test tube is filled with hydrogen dioxide. And then what also it does is has another electrode on the negative end that goes in through this diluted acid, which is an electrolyte, and it goes in and it has platinum, electrolytes. That produces energy. So basically what this is this is a liquid battery, okay? As you see on the right-hand side, we have something different. Instead of a battery, what do we have? What's A stand for? Yeah, nanometer, right? So that is what that is. So if you look, you'll see how the oxygen comes in. We still have hydrogen also, but then also we have diluted acid with electrolytes here. And what they're trying to do is they're producing what's called a wet cell. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to take these devices here and we're going to make a wet cell. We're also going to build a car, and we're going to use solar panels also. So this one's going to be our battery, okay? This right here is going to be our source, okay? And hopefully we'll have enough light in here. If not, we'll have to go somewhere we have light. And then also, we're going to use these beautiful things right here again. Okay? So that's what we're doing today. So let's look at the rest of this. The next one is just basically showing you examples of the cells that they've had as they've gone through. So if you look here in 1955, look at this contraption. This here is just a battery. That's all this is. And what this is this is the battery place here, and this here is the motors, because they were trying to run something. Pretty unique, isn't it? Let's go to the next one. This one here is from the space shuttle. This is the fluid cell that they use, fuel cell that they use on older space shuttles. Newer ones are a little different. Let's look and see what else we got. Here is the Neklar 5. This is a powered vehicle that is based on fuel cells that you can go, instead of using gas, you use electricity. Yeah, Tesla is the one I'm thinking of. So those are just examples of it. The next one is something you probably saw a couple years ago in the back. You remember when we had the flood? Yeah. And we had that big generator in the back? This is about what we were using. We were using this type of fuel cell to create power for the school. Pretty neat looking, isn't it? Here's another one. This one is from a power plant. It's getting smaller, isn't it? And now look at it. So it used to fit a huge room and went down smaller and smaller, and now we have these. And a lot of times you don't know, but I know you've seen those flashing lights like that are on the side of the road, and you saw the other ones. They use these type of cells to work. What they do is they have a solar panel that collects the electricity and stores it in the battery, and then at nighttime it uses that energy. Okay, next slide. Here are the types of cells. If you would do me a favor, draw this in your ice and look. So if you were asked what are fuel cell options, here are the different types. Alkaline, kind of like a battery we have. We know what that is already. Phosphoric acid is a solution or a wet battery. Molded carbonate, that is also, but that is a dry battery. Solid oxide, that's what they use in car batteries now. Direct methanol, and I know you've seen that before when we have gasoline and then methanol that's inside of that. That comes from corn. And they use corn husks to make this methanol to drive it. And then our polymer electrolyte membrane. And we're going to be making a polymer electrolyte membrane today. And once you get that, when you get to the next slide, I do want you to write down this reaction. So on our next slide, it talks about an anode and a cathode. That's a positive and negative terminal that's on a battery. When you talk about an anode, you've got hydrogen 2, and it should have an arrow, which I don't have on mine. Maybe it's on yours. And what it does is it takes these two elements of hydrogen and it breaks it down into a positive and a negative charge. So what we have is we have hydrogen breaks down into H plus, and then your negative, which is your 2 electrolyte negative. And a cathode is half the oxygen plus 2 electrons plus 2 hydrogens that yields H2O, which is, of course, water. So the overall interaction is hydrogen plus half of oxygen 2, or dioxide, is hydrogen dioxide. And the big thing that I want you to see here is the change in heat. As this process is going through, you have a negative 285.8 kilojoules per mole. I don't want you to write anything else for right now. We've got a couple minutes before we have to do another one. So the first thing that it actually shows us is a simple PEM fuel cell. So this is what it looks like inside your battery. A battery, B battery, whatever kind of battery you're using. You have what's called the load. That's where your power is being produced. Of course, you have your anode and your cathode. And as it goes in, this is what happens inside of the battery. Let's look at the next slide. Next slide is just talking about how the membrane and the electrodes actually produce energy. And that's what's going on here. This is a breakdown of what a pulmonar is. And what it is it's even getting smaller inside the water molecule that's going on. And then thermodynamics fuel cell, so it's just basically showing you how to do through thermodynamics, which we're going to do in a couple of days, on how to do the calculation for the change in energy. The next one that you see is just showing you curves. And what that is if you attach some kind of probe on there, that if you look to see what was going on with the battery itself. So on the left-hand side is the characteristic curve. On the right-hand side is a power curve. And then the next one basically talks about hydrogen storage. Of course, as you know, hydrogen does take up space. And then we're showing you the difference between a compressed gas, a liquid hydrogen, and a metal hydride, which they make. And this one here is just basically showing you just a flow chart on how a fuel tank goes through the reformer, which goes into those hydrogen bottles. Solar panels, they take that energy, they process it to put it into the hydrogen bottle. In allergy, they can actually get hydrogen from that. And this is basically showing you a simple flow chart. The next one is just showing you how we can actually use reusable energy as a solar cell, wind, or a hydro, and how that cycle works. Benefits of a fuel cell. These are quiet, safe, efficient, sustainable. Those are important things about what a fuel cell is, and it just talks about how our planet is. That's all of that PowerPoint. So let's close that one. The next one that we have on ours, if you'll please open that up, that's where we're going to be today on assembly. Should say 1.3.1. Solar Hydrogen Automotive Assembly Guide. So this right here is what we're building today. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to take the blue things that you have on your desk. We're going to have to build us a car, hook it up, and it has to run. So start here first. Let's gather all the supplies and make sure we have everything. So you have to have a motor. Do you have a motor? I think I put a motor on everybody's desk. Okay? A motor. It's green. No, that's that. This is the kit. Go ahead and open your kit up first. Now, I fixed your winch for it to run, so I'm sorry I fixed it. But if you'll look at it to make sure you understand how, here's your boards. This, the leads. Yeah, I had to move it and move some things around. So, did you wire yours? You want to rewire it again and you can check it, just see. Okay, cool. So I'll do that one. This right here is the motor. And it's gonna go, like, for example, right here, okay? You have your red and your black wire. Your red and your black wire. Now, your red, have to go in the positive, and the black. And this is how this works. When you have power, it goes all the way down to positive end, okay? There is a divide between here and this board here. This here runs up and down, but these over here, F through J, run across. So what I've done is I put the positive in the positive section where the positive from is, okay? So now what I need to do is I need to take my negative wire, and I can use it anywhere here I want. And push it in, and I'm going to put it in the negative section, and where on here. I'm going to put it right here in here. Here and here. So what this is doing is it's running from the positive end to number 4. It's that red needs to be plugged into that, so we put it around. That one's going to go with number 5, which is black, and it's going to go over here. These two are attached, and I'm going to put it here. Over here, this right here is our power supply. Okay, so that's plugged in, right? I have 9 volts coming out. I have this attached and this attached. Well, it's not running. So where am I lost at? So you gotta think. This is my so I have my black and my red, My red is here, my black is there, my black is here, so where do you think I need to fix it at? Where's my top? And I'm gonna let you work on that for a few minutes and I'm gonna come back. All right, Eric. I don't know if you did it. Okay, so let's start with what we need. You have this, correct?
Yeah.
So you'll need,
everything except the bearing flags.
Mhm.
The bearings of it.
so this box over here is yours. Elijah. There you go. And if you don't have it, let me know. All right, I'm coming to you. All right. So you have these parts here, right? Then you have a breadboard. You have a motor. I'll get your breadboard because you're the person I was looking for. Breadboard. You have tools. You need to get a bar, right? You need a 4-bar, right? There's your bar. Uh-huh. You get rid of the bar. He already has a bar. I'll just get a bar. All right, so here's your bar. You have the long one. And these that you'll need. You have your screws that you need. Huh?
You need half of this.
You need half.
I believe this one's way bigger.
Probably is.
1, 2,
I do have cutters that we can cut away some of it since we've used it already. And that might help. You go, baby. These are yours. Okay. What else do you need, man?
Yeah, I need one. This.
Yeah, I don't think we have them.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Four. Okay, one wheel, 2 big wheels. You said you have a long shaft, correct? You have both your shafts on yours. Eric's gonna need a long and a short.